You call it holding yourself accountable, but really what you're doing is you're just beating yourself up all the time just for being human. You think that being unrealistically hard on yourself every single time that you fail at something is going to make you better. But really, that's what's keeping you stuck. You can't hate yourself into becoming who you want to be. If you feel this way, then this episode is for you. There were times in my life where I would finish something and instead of feeling good about it, I would just spend all my time thinking about the one thing that I didn't do right or where I failed in that thing. Nobody else even noticed for the most part, but I just couldn't let it go. My brain just could not come to terms with the fact that that thing did not go right, and it just would not give me credit for that thing. I realized that when you do this, you aren't actually just pushing yourself into growth. You're actually just making it harder on yourself to actually enjoy the thing that you're doing or to even find growth in that failure. You have to notice that voice. When that self-critical voice shows up, just notice it. And a great tool to use to actually notice and pay attention to it is the RAIN method. It's the RAIN tool, RAIN. The R stands for recognize, A stands for acknowledge, I stands for investigate, and the N stands for not identifying. And I talk a lot about this tool on this podcast because this is a mindfulness technique that a lot of people use in the mindfulness space to actually be able to step back and look at their emotions and do that self-analysis to notice that something is off and figure out a way to get over the hump and to get over it. Immediately when you hear that voice that's telling you that you didn't do something right, you failed at this, you failed at that, you are this, you are that. Nothing wrong with being self-critical, and being self-critical is one of the things that successful people have and that they do. The problem is when you live in that self-criticism and you actually don't use that self-criticism to now boost growth. The whole point of that self-criticism is for you to highlight things that you could have done better, and then you actually have to go and do better. A lot of people will self-criticize, find things that they could have done better, and then they'll just live there on, I could have done better. They don't go out and actually do better. You do not have to always believe that. You always have a chance. You always have the ability to go out and take those lessons learned and apply them and improve. Anybody can improve at something. Anybody can become good at something. There's levels to how good you can get to depending on your talent, where you are, and the amount of time you put into it, right? But if you dedicate your time to something that you want to improve and get better, it's going to improve and get better. It's as simple as that. If you are getting something out of this episode, subscribe to the Be Unafraid podcast. Every week, I share episodes that will help you build that confidence, stop being unrealistically hard on yourself, and actually learn how to use that self-criticism to now build growth and get things done. So let's get back into the episode. Talk to yourself like you would talking to your friend, talking to your best friend, talking to your sibling, talking to somebody that you love. Talk to yourself in that manner. If your friend sitting in front of you came to you and told you, I failed at this thing, I messed up at this thing, I didn't do X, Y, and Z, you're going to hold them accountable, right? You're going to be honest and you're going to tell them where they went wrong. But as a friend, you're also going to give them that next level of optimism and say that now you recognize that and you acknowledge that. Now you're going to use the situation to actually grow and do better next time, make a different decision, or learn a new skill and be better at this so that you don't fail at this thing. You're giving them that next level of optimism. You're not letting them sit in that self-criticism and just wallow in that to where they actually end up being worse than they were before. Use that imagery of talking to your friend and talk to yourself in that aspect. Yes, I messed up. Yes, I failed. Yes, I didn't do this thing. Yes, I didn't get the outcome that I wanted. Why didn't I do that? Investigate it. Use the RAIN method. Go into that. Start asking yourself these several layers of why, and then say, okay, now I know what I didn't do right. Now I need to either go practice that more and get better, or I need to go find somebody else who can help me and get better and improve. That way, next time I'm faced with this situation again, I'll make a different decision that's actually going to help me succeed. One of my favorite quotes is from Brandon Sanderson, who's written a lot of novels in fantasy and science fiction. And he talks about the greatest step a man can take. That is after you make a mistake or after you fail at something. The greatest step that you can take in your life. It's not the first step. It's not the second step. It's not the third, fourth, fifth step. The greatest step you can take is always the next step. So when you audit that thing and you realize where you went wrong, what's the next step? The next step is to now implement those lessons learned and then do it better next time. And if you fail again, do the same thing again. Do the RAIN method. Audit yourself. Find where you went wrong. Then go back and take that next step and improve. And ultimately, you will start to see yourself improve and grow in ways that you would never imagine. Give yourself credit sometimes. This is a hard thing to do for people that are high achievers. They always just want to get more and more and more and more. And I understand this because I'm one of those people, and you could be one of those people too. Give yourself credit sometimes. Stop and say, okay, I did this thing and I did it right. Therefore, I did a good job. I did this thing. I didn't get the outcome that I wanted. I don't think I did it right, but where in that process did I get it right? Because sometimes you don't get the whole thing wrong. Most of the time you get a lot of the steps to these different things right, and that's where you spend most of your time, but you don't fully acknowledge the things that you did right. So just give yourself credit sometimes. It helps to remember that you're learning. You're learning and not just failing all the time. You're learning. These are lessons. Failure is feedback. Failure is lessons. So it's important to remember that. If you keep just being harder on yourself every time that you make a mistake and you don't choose to learn from it and grow, you're just going to be like that all the time. And it just gets harder to trust yourself the next time because now you're starting to believe that voice that you're just a person that screws up all the time. But when you give yourself a little bit room to learn, it gets a little bit easier because now you understand it's not doom and gloom when you fail. There's actually hope, there's actually optimism, and you can actually succeed ultimately. Think about an area in your life where you could start doing this. Start applying this RAIN method and start looking at your life and this aspect of your life as lessons instead of just failure, failure, failure. I'm a person who fails, but what's the lesson in here? What can I take and use to improve and actually build and make it something that's going to grow me? Next time you notice yourself being hard on yourself, just pause for a second, take a deep breath, and then tell yourself that it's fine. You're learning. That's it. Start right there and ask yourself, what is the next step that a person can take? It's always the next step. That should be your answer. The best step that you can always take is always the next step. So remember that. It's okay to be learning. You're not falling behind. You're just getting better at being a human. If you've been stuck in that loop of saying that you'll start tomorrow, but you never start when tomorrow actually comes, and now you find yourself not actually trusting yourself to start anything, then check out this episode right here where I talk about how to start building that trust in yourself so that when you say that you're going to do something, you'll actually do that thing and see results.